Baby, it's cold outside, but it's even colder where we're going, Norway. We've been to Norway before in the summer of 2017, cruising the fjords on a big celebrity cruise ship. The scenery was magnificent. We even encountered snow in the summer on a glacier at the top of a mountain. You can see the photos on our website at Voyage to Norway, Ascent of the Glacier. Now we've decided to view the country in all its white winter majesty as we cruise up the coast, cross the Arctic Circle, and hopefully see the Northern Lights, which has been a dream of mine since I was a little boy. We'll be traveling on Hurtigruten, a 130-year-old Norwegian cruise line. This promises to be an authentic experience, and intimate too, as the ship carries only 500 guests. Let's go! It's morning as we arrive in Oslo, Norway's capital city, after an overnight flight, so it's only fitting that we listen to Morning Song by Norway's most famous composer, Edvard Grieg. We didn't get to visit Oslo on our first trip, and since we've got the day free, we fought off our jet lag and set out to hit the highlights. First, a quick visit to the Oslo Cathedral, right around the corner from our hotel. Built in 1697, it's rather small and modest, at least by cathedral standards, but the royal family uses it for weddings and ceremonies, so if they say it's a cathedral, so it is. Inside, it's light and bright, and the beautiful painted ceiling casts a golden glow. So we lingered a while to relax and take it all in. Very nice. But now it's time to explore the more modern side of Oslo. It's a short walk to the harbor to view Oslo's signature structure, the Opera House. Completed in 2007, the angular building is covered in white marble, granite, and glass to evoke an iceberg arising from the sea. Normally, you can walk up the sloping sides to the roof, but today it really is an iceberg, so not happening. Speaking of icebergs, there's a floating iceberg sculpture out in the harbor. There's also a lot of floating ice. But as we look across the ice-filled harbor, Wait a minute. Are those people wearing bathing suits? They are. We later learned that those are floating saunas, where you can heat up to 160 degrees, then plunge into the freezing water. Those Norwegians are hardy people, but after all, they are descended from Vikings. They even have an expression. There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Although in this case, it's more like no clothing. Maybe we'll try it next time. Although, I'm not sure. We're having a hard enough time maintaining our body temperature dressed like this. Just beyond the Opera House is the Munch Museum, celebrating Norway's most famous artist, Edvard Munch, seen here in a self-portrait, creator of The Scream. There are several versions of The Scream. This one, an oil painting, and this one, a woodcut print. There's also a pastel one we didn't see, as the paintings are so fragile they're only shown for short periods of time. Poor Edvard had a rough life, and it's reflected in his work. His mother died when he was young. A sister died at age 13 from tuberculosis, and another sister was committed to a mental institution. He spent his whole life in fear of sickness and insanity, and eventually succumbed to alcoholism. Like this self-portrait, many of his works are quite melancholy, like this scream-like Despair and The Girls on the Bridge. Here's his version of Starry Night. Personally, we prefer Van Gogh's, seen here at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. This woodcut print is titled In the Man's Brain, and yep, I think he nailed it. On the verge of a nervous breakdown at age 45, he checked into a private psychiatric hospital for several months, where he sobered up and was treated for anxiety. It must have helped because you can see the difference in his paintings, including a much nicer self-portrait. By now, he had become famous and was invited to compete for the decoration of the University of Oslo's auditorium. Over the next 7 years, he produced these huge, expansive, brilliant canvases, unlike any of his previous work. They're so big they had to be lifted by crane through a slot in the side of the museum. While I couldn't appreciate all of his artistic vision, it was a thrill to see the iconic Scream up close and in person. And by the way, everybody posed for this shot. It gets dark really early this far north in the winter, and the jet lag is catching up. So, after a dinner of elk burger for me, yes, elk, and it was good, and avocado toast with fried egg for Judy, we'll call it an early night. Tomorrow, Hurtigruten will take us on a little tour. It's Sunday morning and the bells are ringing at Holmenkollen Chapel, but most people aren't here for praying. They're here for skiing. As I pan around, you can see all the folks gathered for cross-country skiing. And as I pan further, one of the world's largest ski jumps, made of stainless steel. We're here at the Holmenkollen National Ski Center. Although this structure was built in 2010, they've been ski jumping here since 1892, and it was the site of the 1952 Winter Olympics. They hold World Cup jumping competitions here every year, reaching speeds up to 60 miles an hour as they launch into the air. I hope they make good use of that chapel beforehand. The stadium holds 70,000 people. Too bad no jumping today, but the locals are all out cross-country skiing. Norwegians love their winter sports. These dudes look pretty serious about their skiing. From atop the mountain, a nice view of the city of Oslo, the Oslo fjord, and the happy couple, even happier when we're on vacation. We had a quick bus tour of Old City Oslo. I don't know what this building is, but it's pretty nice. Here, City Hall, which is downright ugly. Looks like a prison, if you ask me. The Storting, the Norwegian Parliament. Very elegant. In the opposite direction, the Royal Palace. Norway does have a royal family. Like the British, their role is mostly ceremonial. Unlike the British, and fortunately, they seem to keep a lower profile. Too bad you can only tour the Royal Palace in the summertime. A quick drive past the Norwegian Nobel Institute, where they decide who wins the Nobel Peace Prize. All the other Nobels are awarded in Stockholm, Sweden, except the Peace Prize. Each December 10th, there's a ceremony at Oslo City Hall, and then the grand banquet at the Grand Hotel, built in 1874. The winner stays in the Nobel Suite, and you can too, for $1,500 a night. It's on their website. Hey, at least breakfast is included. The final stop on our bus tour is the Fram Museum, where we learned all about Roald Amundsen, famous Norwegian polar explorer, and his flagship, the Fram. In 1906, he was the first person to successfully navigate the Northwest Passage, going from the Atlantic to the Pacific over the top of the world, above Canada and Alaska. He wanted to be the first person to reach the North Pole, but he was beaten to it in 1909 by American Admiral Robert Peary, literally 2 weeks before he was to take off. So without telling anyone, including his crew, he turned the ship around and headed for the South Pole instead. He became the first human to reach the South Pole, thus securing his place in history and the pantheon of famous Norwegians. In 1936, the ship was restored, towed to Oslo, and the museum was built around it. Not only can you see the ship, you can go on board. Sadly, it didn't end well for Amundsen. In 1928, at the age of 55, he set out on a rescue mission for survivors of a crashed airship in the Arctic. His plane disappeared and was never found. He died as he lived, a hero till the end. The tour bus dropped us back at the hotel, but it's only mid-afternoon. Since we never waste a minute of our precious vacation time, we decided to take a quick walk, only about 15 minutes, to the Viking Planet, a multimedia digital Viking experience featuring Norway's most famous ancestors. We watched a brief surround sound movie about the Viking life. Oh, the Vikings, in their pristine countryside, in touch with nature, contemplative, artisans, merchants, farmers, good neighbors, industrious, a peaceful people, so misunderstood. Well, maybe not. Sometimes you've got to pillage and plunder. As usual, there are two sides to every story. It's true they were a warlike society with looting and land expansion, but they were also multicultural, embracing new ideas, arts, and inventions, more than just the unwashed barbarian warriors of popular culture. We already knew a lot of this from years of watching one of our favorite TV shows on the History Channel. But still, we had a great time at the selfie station, becoming virtual Vikings. Our time in Oslo has run out, but it's been great. Tomorrow, we'll take a 1-hour flight to the city of Trondheim, where we'll board our ship. We'll also have a quick tour of the city, including its beautiful cathedral. To see the pictures, visit our website or A Day in Trondheim.